doing well. My name is Audrey Rodriguez, and I'm very excited to finally be sharing my portfolio that is going to help me land jobs as a future ESL and bilingual educator. So, part one of my portfolio discusses the professional growth opportunities I've had over the past 4 years and the related goals that I've set for myself as I enter the field. And the first goal that I have is to continuously apply research based techniques to instructional practices. Now, within my courses and my field experiences, I've found methodologies and strategies that have been most effective, supported by research, in helping English language learners acquire English as a second language or develop bilingualism. And my goal as an educator is to expand on this and to continue researching linguistics and finding the best practices. And I plan on doing this by pursuing linguistics at a university after I graduate. I want to go to grad school and hopefully create a culturally responsive curriculum, because I think that culturally responsive teaching is so essential and it shouldn't be encouraged, it should be enforced. So that is my first goal, and that's how I plan to meet that. My second goal is to align academia to affect. Now, in my studies here at UNC and in my fieldwork, I've learned how important it can be when content connects to culture. And that is something that I strive to do every day with every lesson as an educator, because I've seen how effective instruction can be when it connects to students' experiences, identities, and the real world in general. So I constantly practice culturally responsive teaching so that I can best align content and language to students' own lives and set them up for success beyond the walls of the classroom. Now, my third goal is to teach content and language from multiple perspectives. And this is a goal that I'm very excited to hopefully be tackling in the fall when I student teach at Rangeview Elementary School. Now, Rangeview is an IB World School, and they teach content and language across multiple perspectives. And I'm really excited to be there and to be learning how they use the inquiry mindset to help students develop a more worldly perspective. So moving on to part two is my advocacy work. And I've done a lot of advocacy work in my time here at UNC, in my time in the classroom, outside of UNC, working with kids, coaching. But one of my favorite events that I've done has been this bilingual story time that I did with Foco Cafe. And if you're unfamiliar with Foco Cafe's work, they put on a Kids Feeding Kids summer breakfast program. And basically what this is a program that provides food and activities for students of low socioeconomic statuses over the summer. So these are students that are on free or reduced lunch during the school year, and over the summer, they are not eligible for those supports. And so Foco Cafe combats that by providing them with food and fun. And I thought that that was just an awesome event, an awesome idea. So I wanted to be a part of it. And for my Cumbre senior project, I put together a bilingual story time with The Little Mermaid, where I performed as the Little Mermaid and read her story in English and Spanish to kids at Salida del Sol Bilingual Academy. And it was such a successful event that I wanted to be able to replicate that. So as part of my advocacy work, I contacted Foco Cafe, and I own a Princess Party company, and I suggested that my company be a part of this summer breakfast program, because I figured if these kiddos are struggling to get food on the table, meeting a princess is probably not in their future, and I wanted to change that. So this was a very fun event. I was able to speak Spanish to a lot of the kiddos there, and it was really special that I was able to share the Little Mermaid story in English and Spanish, because I think it's so important for native Spanish speakers to see that representation of their culture in pop culture. And one of the ways that I could do that was to show a classic princess speaking Spanish. So, yeah. And then part 3 is my knowledge of the CDE standards. Now, for this part of my portfolio, I had to do the culturally and linguistically diverse standards, as well as the bilingual education standards. And within addressing all of that criteria, I focused on things that I've done in my coursework and in my practicum experiences, specifically in this practicum experience. But then I also wanted to note that I believe I'm qualified to teach content in English and Spanish because of my praxis results and because of the endorsements that I've met and my high GPA in doing that. And then additionally, my field experiences. I've had field experiences in so many unique schools. I've had the opportunity to be at dual immersion, bilingual, charter, STEM, and I will be at an IB school. And I think that that creates for a really unique and diverse experience that makes me qualified to work with diverse learners. Now, the fourth part of my portfolio is my pedagogic philosophy. And my pedagogic philosophy is centered around 3 things. And the first is a cohesive and collaborative relationship with all members of the learning community. Now, oftentimes, teachers talk about the importance of creating strong relationships with their students. And I absolutely agree that that is essential. But I also think that it's so important to develop a relationship with parents, with community members, with business owners, with collaborators and faculty members, because that really creates for a strong and supportive learning community. And when you get people like community members involved and business owners involved, that's where the funding comes in. And I hate to say it, but money kind of makes it in education. So it can be really helpful when you share the culture of the community with the culture of your school and connect those. And I think that's something that Greeley is working toward doing. And I've seen a lot of other cities be very successful in doing this. And so it's my hope for smaller towns like Greeley to be able to connect those two, because I think that the results are just so impressive. Now, the second part of my pedagogic philosophy is culturally responsive teaching. And like I stated before, I believe that culturally responsive teaching should be practiced by every educator, regardless of what type of educator you are working with diverse students. It's impossible not to work with diverse students, because as humans, we're all different, we're all unique, we're all diverse. We all have cultures. We have big C cultures, which are our cultures in terms of our heritage, and then we have little C cultures, which are things like the things we like to do, our interests, our friend groups. And I think that both of those are so important to address to create that class community. And then the third aspect of my pedagogic philosophy is my connection to the growth mindset. I love the growth mindset. I've applied the growth mindset in my teaching, in my everyday life, and I think that it is fantastic. I actually did one of my practicum experiences at Windsor Charter Academy, and they have adopted the growth mindset school-wide, and it is just so impressive to hear students say that they're excited to fail, or that, oh, I didn't do well on this, but that's okay. That just means that I can do better for next time. I think that's something that was lacking in my own education, and I think that is really what is going to change our society, is the fact that there are young learners that are embracing failures as opportunities to learn and grow. And so that is something that I model in my own life and in my own teaching. And it's a big part of who I am, as well as who I am as an educator. And so those are the components that I've outlined in my portfolio. And It is very long, so I feel like this is a pretty good summary of the contents of it. So I hope you enjoyed learning about who I am as an educator and who I will be as I embark in the fields of culturally and linguistically diverse and bilingual education. Thank you. I hope you all have a good one.